I'm gonna begin with a prompt. What is your role in a story that is bigger than you? How might you take your own interests, your own aspirations, your experience, and compose that into a kind of coherent narrative, and then find a place for it in the broader world? What is your story in a story that is bigger than you? And what voices might we add and invite to increase the richness of this shared story? I'm Parke MacDowell. I'm an architect and a fabricator, and I've been working in a pro bono capacity with the Lynn-based nonprofit Beyond Walls since the group's inception back in the end of 2016. We believe in the agency of the built environment to shape community, and specifically in the power of art to increase the value of the communities where we live. Now, as an architect, I work on projects of all different scales, but on every project, we aspire to embed amenities that serve a broader community, one beyond the bounds of the design brief. So a bridge might become a sculpture which communicates this community is deserving of beautiful things. And part of my role is to conceptually frame a project, to communicate the core priorities of stakeholders, and then provide these kinds of structured opportunities for engagement. The aspiration here is that end users become co-authors, collaborators in the design process. That's what makes a successful project long-term. And at Beyond Walls, we do this. We align our arts initiatives with the strategic goals of our community partners. We engage those local stakeholders as collaborators, both in defining the problem and in developing the solution. So we had a constellation of efforts that came out of this approach in Lynn, for example, where a rail line cuts through downtown, and the city identified these zones as areas of increased crime and vehicle pedestrian accidents. And they said, we need better lighting. And we did more than just that. We did more than just illuminate it. We made it epic. We made it a destination instead of a place to avoid. And downtown needs to be more walkable, local business owners said. So we took vintage neon signs, things that are no longer connected to any current business, and we used them as urban devices to pull pedestrians from one destination to the next through downtown. And over 100 murals, they elevate the stories of the community. And these are building scale pieces that say, we are here, our stories are worth telling. And Beyond Walls does this by coordinating groups of local as well as international architects. And we try to curate the demographics and the cultures of these artists to the communities where the work takes place. And then the pandemic hit, and it changed everything. And the priorities of our communities shifted. And so our work shifted too. WASH came out of a prompt from the local health organization that said at-risk populations, particularly the homeless, no longer have a place to wash their hands. We need a solution. And the business community saw the success of WASH and said, we need something like that for outdoor dining. So we developed Fold, which is this laser-cut stainless steel origami. It's a design that allows for many hands to be meaningfully engaged in the production of this collective contribution to our shared environment. Now, the pandemic encouraged us to reclaim outdoor public space for public use. And right now, I think, right now more than ever before perhaps, there is a public appetite and there is a civic value proposition that affirms this kind of work. I'm keen to capitalize on our current momentum to deliver fast, attainable, meaningful change. And we're doing just that. The Beyond Walls Mural Festival has grown now to include over 180 pieces in 6 years, now in 11 cities. So we've got local and international talent. We do this big, potent work which magnifies and validates identities that are vital to the character of vibrant but often underserved communities. And I lead what we call the Design Response Initiatives with Beyond Walls. And on these projects, as with all my work, fabrication becomes this key device for design agency. And in the Payette shop here, we've got computer-controlled cutting machines and welding equipment and woodworking tools that we use to give material, concrete reality to these ideas. This kind of hands-on fabrication also provides an entry point, particularly for youth. And Ben, as you see here, came out of a summer program, which we did with Boston high school students. The studio is about learning how to read your city, and with that literacy and understanding, cultivate one's own spatial agency. Over in the Roxbury community in Boston, we had this garden that was developed on the site of what was once a Black Panther Community Information Center. And working with the neighborhood and students from Northeastern, we researched the local history, we interviewed residents, and we coordinated with the city and the stakeholders to produce this Black Panther commemoration project, which uses public art to highlight the local history of social justice activism. And there's a spirit here that underpins the project, which was present in that place long before I entered the scene, and it will continue long after my work is done. And it grows and evolves. That's the kind of thing which underpins a lot of this work, like this piece currently in production in Chinatown. We've got an activation that reinforces the cultural identity of that neighborhood. In this piece called Dancing Dragon, it's located on the perimeter of the district, and it's an area that, due to its location, is prone to a kind of cultural erosion. But with a cross-section of Chinatown contributors, we developed this meandering steel pavilion. It's got a canopy structure and provides seating and shade, and armature really for community activity. The piece was inspired by the traditional Chinese dragon dance with an exuberant geometry above and joyful gathering below. And the residents of the two adjacent apartment buildings here really embraced the process. From the community design sessions where every comment was translated into both English and Mandarin. And then we had a paint day, which brought over 40 volunteers down to my shop, which was nearby. The project opens next Saturday, so a week from tomorrow. On these projects, this public work especially, my role is to provide an injection of energy and expertise at just the right moment to catalyze the efforts of our community stakeholders. This is the kind of work where we have to approach it with humility, almost with like an openness, an invitation for many voices to contribute. What is your role in a story that is bigger than you? Thank you.